Hello, thank you for joining me onto this session. We're still talking about the personal growth success tip, especially as we draw closer to the end of the year. And we're looking forward to an exciting 2025. Today, I would start with the story of coaches, like we all know. So, what are some of the lessons we can draw from coaches, in particular sports coaches? Every great coach goes into the game with a game plan, and a great game plan as it may be. However, something usually happens, especially during the halftime. There is what we call the halftime adjustment. This is where the coach begins to reflect back on all that has happened during that first half of the match. He looks, and what he does, he starts making changes, he makes adjustments. And you know, the funny thing about this is if you have ever been with a football fan, or as many of you that are football fans, I'm sure you would even be helping the coach to strategize and say, oh, when we're going to the next half of this year, this is what the coach should be doing. You see commentators, they'll be giving their opinion. I think this person should be changed. I think this other person should be brought into the game. So how can we bring that into our own personal growth success? It's also we creating that space for a halftime. Times like this, whereby we're wrapping up the year, are times whereby it's almost like a halftime for us, whereby we look at, okay, what have we done all through this year? Which player do we need to take away from the field? Which player do we need to bring to the field based on what have been happening, based on the reality on ground? How should we be making adjustments? So I think it will be okay to actually title this episode as halftime adjustment and how you can apply it to your own personal growth. And this actually brings us to a particular law when we talk about the law of growth. It's called the law of reflection. Reflection is something that is so important. In fact, it is the leader's urge. As a leader, what reflection does is that it helps you to see ahead. People say, not people say rather, it's a statement that experience is the best teacher. But experience, if you look at it, can you really say is the best teacher? Rather, evaluated experience is the best teacher. And evaluated experience comes in the place of reflection. Reflection is that space where we sit down and we begin to evaluate what we are experiencing. And based on the evaluation of the experience, we begin to get to one of the benefits of reflection, which is what? Drawing insight. Reflection brings about insight when it is done well. And the thing is, many of us, because reflection has to do with thinking, and we all think, right? We are thinking beings. But what makes reflection different is that it's an intentional thinking. It is focused on something. It's not just our minds just jumping on this and that, but we are creating that space, we are creating that time where we are reflecting, we are focusing our thinking on a certain matter. So how do we benefit, or how do we go about this reflection so that it benefits us? I had a couple of things that I have down on my notes that I would like to share with us. First is making sure that we are understanding that value of reflection, because what you don't value, you will not create time for it. So now we know that reflection is very important. It's our edge. When we are not reflecting, we are losing that touch, that leader's edge. We are losing it. Now that we know it's important, then how do we go about it? The second point is creating a system for reflection. What does it mean to create a system for reflection? Creating a space to reflect, if possible. John Maxwell used to say he has a thinking chair. So this is not my thinking chair, anyways, but creating that space, that room where you reflect. For those who are people of faith, there's something we call war room. War room is that atmosphere where you get to and you're like, oh no, I think I'm in a space, in a space where I need to connect with my creator. So just the way you have that, it's having that. Just imagine you have a thinking chair that, whenever you sit down on it, it reminds you to reflect. So having that space you can create, and most importantly, having the time. For some people, they even reflect while they are on their way to work, because not when you're the driver. But if you probably have maybe you're in a cab or something and you feel like, oh, I have this 20 minutes break before I get to my destination, good, right? Just the most important thing is having something you're consistent with. I won't go for when you're in the cab, except if that's all you have, because I don't think it may not be a constant thing. But maybe you're on the trains, you're in the train, okay, and you know that it's your regular commute to work, then fine, that's okay. So having that space and that time, and that thing about the system is creating things that you can remember, because reflection has to do with you remembering something and you're pondering on it. If you don't have things that you remember, obviously what do you really want to reflect on? So how this can help you is that just try at least I would say 5 minutes every day, carving out 5 minutes every day to jot down markers in your day. What do I mean by markers? Things that spoke to you, or things that just gravitated to you during the day, things you want to go back, like a packing list of things you would like to reflect on when you have that reflecting time. Because to be very honest, some days can be so busy that you've not even sat down to reflect, right? But if you have that packing list, just within 5 minutes, you're just jotting down the things you want to go back. Oh, today I had a meeting with this person, want to reflect on the discussion. This event happened today. I heard this information. I'd like to give it some thought. So that's your packing list that you reflect on during your reflection time. The thing about reflection is you get more benefit from reflection based on the kind of questions you are able to ask yourself in that moment. Because someone comes, okay, now I'm ready to do reflection. Oh, this is me sitting down probably on my thinking chair. So what do we do? So what can make it very important is knowing the kind of questions you're asking yourself during reflection time. One of the questions you want to ask yourself is, how do I feel? This is such an important question. Most of the time when people ask us, how do I feel? They say, I'm fine. But we need to really sit down during reflection time and ask ourselves, how do I feel? It's such an important question. And this has to do with, it draws out our intuition, because this is me drawing deep within me and saying, okay, how do I actually feel about what is being said? Now, the second one is, what do I know? What are the facts? What did this person say? What are the facts in this case? And now the third question you want to be asking yourself is, what do I think? So what do I think is like a bridge for you? It's a bridge between, this is what I feel about the situation. This is what I feel about talking to this person. This is what I feel about being in this meeting. This is what I feel about this experience. And this is what actually happened. This is the reality. This is what I know. These were the facts that I was able to gather. Now, based on what I feel, my intuition, and what I know based on the fact, what's the bridge between them? What's the connection, and what's the disconnection? So what do I think helps you build that bridge between what you feel and what you know? So another things I kind of like put down in my notes is also other benefits of reflection. So other benefit of reflection is also observation. So what do I observe? Observe is a very good way of learning. So what did I observe? And when we talk about communication is not only about what is being said, it's also how it's being said, and also the subtle things that are not said, our body language that we can pick from, because all those things are information. And even the tone and all those things that come into communication. So what did you observe, and what could you feel, what could you sense from this communication? And then you begin to list those things down during your reflection time. These are my observation from what I have gotten. Then next you begin to, with you just take some time to think, ponder on that, join insight from them. Then you also begin to prioritize that. So for professionals, or even business people in a meeting, how do you put all these things in place? When it comes to observation, or reflecting on, let's say, a meeting that has gone, or on a meeting that occurred, one of the things you may be looking at, I'll use instance for a professional and your boss. What are those things that were said that are important to the boss? Because when people are saying certain things, there are keywords that are very important. You can pick up those things and say, oh, this were the things that were very important. And that question is going to ask is, why? Why was this? Why does this thing mean a lot to this person? Because remember, when we are offering value to people, it's what people value that will speak to them. I can come up and do this podcast, but if I'm not touching things that matters to you, at some point you might not find it relevant. And that's why at this point I want to plead with you to please put in the comment section and let me know what interests you about these things that I do. And why would you think of, oh, let me just come in here and hear what you would say? What are those things that interest you? And I would also like to know questions that you would probably like me to address even in as I keep on going along with the series, because that helps me to give you things that are of value to you. Great. So back to observation. So when we pick out the things that we have observed, we're also reflecting on them and we are prioritizing them. The next one is discovery. Another good thing that reflection does to you is you begin to discover things. Personally, I remember there was an event, not an event, a meeting I had with somebody, and just being in that conversation with that person, I was able to draw a lot of insights when I sat down to reflect on that. As a matter of fact, I left that conversation thanking the person for sharing their perspective and their view. But as I took time to reflect, I saw things I agreed with, and I also saw things that I probably don't really agree with what this person has said. And that also helps me to know. I also asked myself, what do I feel? How do I really feel about this discussion that we actually had? And what were the facts that the person brought into the table and that we brought together? And also, what do I think? Do when I merge them together, how do I align what I feel with the facts that I got together? And that way, I was also able to be very sure of my conviction. So I'm like, oh no, I don't think if we bring out this other point of view, I don't think this um arguments that this person has brought would actually hold weight. So that's one of the things that discovery reflection helps you do. And I'm going to share some words that I believe have also come out from the place of discovery. One I have on my notes here, it says activity is not accomplishment. This is so true. How many times have we been so busy? Like, my goodness. For me as a mom, there are days that I'm just busy. And I'm like, goodness, like, how does this busyness lead to accomplishment? Some things I must do them because they have to be done. But to be very honest with myself, I know this thing is not accomplishing anything, right? It's just one of those routines, but it's not really giving me to hit the main things I want to hit. So how did that help me? It helped me to know manage my energies. I'm like, because when I finish doing all those, things I must do, but they are activity things, but they are not accomplishment things. At the end of the day, I may be exhausted. So this is what I tried to do to change my schedule, which I'm still making sure I'm putting that in front of me and applying them as much as I can. Not even as much as I can, trying to make it the most for me is how do I focus on accomplishments first, then activities second. So that will be for me at the very beginning of my day, focusing on my key growth matters, my daily growth matters, things I know that are pushing me to the areas of accomplishment. I'm doing that first, then I start to do activities. And do also this, when we reflect on a word like this, it also makes us to be able to know what should I be dropping in the next year coming forward. I don't want to be so much activities that I'm not accomplishing anything. What should I probably drop or give more, like a spare amount of my time? Because when we focus on those things that when we focus on accomplishments rather than just activities, there is a lot of energy. Any day that the days I'm able to really focus on my accomplishment first, in fact, I'm like supercharged for the rest of the day, and I feel so fulfilled that, oh, I was able to do this particular thing. So that's helpful. So another one is growth is not automatic, that I want to leave out. Growth is very intentional, and this we can also bring in the place of reflection. If we're not intentional with reflection, we will not give it the time, the attention that it needs. After this whole series, I'm also going to be sitting down to reflect on how did it go, what did I like about it, and what were the feedbacks from people reflecting on those. So please tell me what you have learned from today's episode that you find valuable or that resonates to you, that you want to apply. Please try to take that few minutes and put it in the comment section. Don't forget to like. Thank you so much for listening to me. I look forward to seeing you in my next conversation that I have. Thank you to then. Thank you so much. Bye.